All right, everybody, it's your boy Genius out here at the range today. The sun has finally came out, but it's still 41 degrees. I still got snot coming out of my nose, but either way, it's a beautiful day that the Lord has made, and I have my HK VP9 out here at the range today. And what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to stop trying to count these rounds, especially in these guns that are just so fast and so much fun to shoot, because I get a little bit carried away and I'm trying to count the rounds and I always miscount, thinking I'm finished, thinking the slide has locked back, and I realize there's one or two more in there, and it just shows my flaws, okay? But I leave it all on there, true, honest reviews. You see my flaws. I am a flawed human being. We all are. The biggest flaw we have is that we were born sinners. Christ paid that payment with his blood on the cross. You can accept that payment and know for sure that you'll spend eternity with the one who died for you. If you don't know how, ask me in the comment section. I'd be more than happy to share that with you. Or you can send me an email at gsquaredtactical@gmail.com and we could talk about it over there. That would be the highlight of my day, to show you how you can know for sure you're going to go to heaven when you die. Either way, recently I've been following up on some of my collection, if you will. One of my new subscribers said that, hey man, everything I've saw recently has been new release guns, okay? But I've heard you talk about your favorite brand being CZ. I've heard you talk about some of your collection, some of the guns you have. I would like to see them. And I have done reviews on most of these guns, but, you know, sometimes YouTube will just randomly delete videos, and I think they're there, but they're not there. I don't know, you know how they are. They be tripping. But either way, what I thought I would do is I would take some of my favorite guns, okay? That's hard to really choose from. But either way, I started out with my CZ 75 SP01, then I went to my P09 from CZ, and now I'm on my H&K VP9. Those were the three that I chose. I'll continue to do this. It's a good idea because it saves me from buying new guns, number one, and also I don't have to put as many rounds down range. But either way, this is my H&K VP9 OR. I did have the original VP9. I've probably had several of them actually, but once I got the OR, I was like, you know what, I sold the other ones. If I don't want an optic on here, I have the option of not having one. If I do, then hey, I got the pimped out version, if you will, so I sold the other ones. I did put a set of XS suppressor height sights on here, orange front dot on the front there, and the serrated blacked out on the rear, so that I could have a good co-witness with my Hollison 407 optic that I have mounted up here, 407C. Either way, I was talking about when I did the Kimber R7 carbon compact, how good that gun felt in the hand, and it is a toss-up for me. I've always said the H&K VP9, there was no other gun on the planet that felt better in the hand than the VP9. But I went on so much about how well that one felt and how it seemed glued to your hand. And I don't know, I'm not ready to say that the carbon compact feels better in the hand, although I am carrying this gun, the carbon compact. So, I don't know, man. That is an amazing feeling gun in the hand, the carbon compact is. But with the ability to change these side panels and the back strap on this and really conform it to you, I would say still they're very, very equal. This is just a great feeling gun in the hand. You have a great purchase on this gun. There's a lot of thought out features on this gun that I think sometimes people overlook, okay? Now, I know that a lot of people complain about this paddle right behind the trigger guard, which is your mag release, and they prefer the button. But I like this. It seems natural to me. So when I'm done shooting, I bring my trigger finger down and just release the mag. Man, it seems natural just to pull your index finger down, drop the magazine, and it is ambi. So if you're a left-hander, you can do the same thing. And so if I do drop it with my thumb, of course I do have to make a change in my grip. You know I'm a little bit of a snob about that. But if I were to shoot with this gun, say if I came out here and I trained every single day and I was releasing it with that with that index finger right there. I would get so much better and faster that way than I do with my thumb on the left-hand side of the gun. I don't have a problem with that, okay? In the inside of the trigger guard here, there is a cutout or a gutter in the bottom of the trigger guard. Now, you've heard me say before that a lot of guns, the trigger, when it resets back or it progression back forward, or even sometimes on its progression backwards, the fat on my finger will get caught under the trigger and it just eat my trigger finger up, just put a blister on it. Well, there's a gutter in the bottom of this trigger guard that the trigger slides into, and the gutter is only in the center of the trigger guard. So when your finger comes back, your finger is on the part that is still up or still raised. I know I'm jacking this up, but it's still raised. The trigger only is going through that gutter, and your trigger finger still resides on the upper part of the trigger guard, so it never can get pinched. I mean, I think that is a feature that people rarely ever talk about, but there's no chance that your finger is getting pinched underneath that trigger because it's running through that gutter, and your finger stays on top of the gutter, so it can't get down there to it, right? This is a ambi on the slide lock. It has no safety, and it is one of my favorite takedowns, much like the SIG, FN, etc. It does have very, very nice front serrations and, of course, rear serrations. And it does have these little plastic ears at the rear to aid in racking your slide as well, because, of course, you will lose those rear serrations with your optic at the back. But with those two ears, you can easily manipulate it without touching or grabbing hold of your optic, okay? It does have a 1, 2, 3, 4 slot accessory rail up front. Just a huge, huge trigger guard here, even more so than my P09. I mean, that is a hunk of a trigger guard, right? Again, Andre the Giant with gloves, doesn't really matter. You're not going to have a problem getting in that trigger guard and getting back out. It is serrated on the front of the trigger guard. Again, you can change, I forget how many different ways you can change this up to conform to your hand, but the side panels are replaceable, and the back strap, of course, is replaceable. I did add this flared mag well at the bottom. Again, for me, it's not so much in aiding, because I'm not a super tactical guy. I'm not a tactical guy at all, actually. But the mag well for me aids in keeping my hand up high and tight so it cannot slide down the gun. So it just helps to hold on to a gun that is already easy to hold on to, that feels great in your hand already, okay? What else about the gun, okay? You have the red, like on your Canic, you have your striker indicator on the back letting you know that your trigger is set, ready to be pulled. Talk about the trigger here. The reset is not as audible as I would like for it to be, but it's very tactile in that it pushes back on your finger very nicely. It's a good reset, nothing wrong with it. So, decent amount of take up. There's actually a little bit of grit in that trigger. Decent amount of take up, but it breaks right at the wall, right around about 90 degrees. It is a curved trigger. So, I would say that I like the trigger on my P09 a little bit better than this one. There is a little bit of grit in that trigger. I haven't shot this gun as much as I have my P09 and my CZ75 SP01, but there's a tiny little bit of grit in that trigger. Now it is dirty. I haven't cleaned this thing in a little while, so there could be some grit in there from the dirt. I don't know, but the trigger, again, I'm not a trigger snob. It's a nice little reset. Very tactile that it pushes back on your finger. I'd say it's about a 4.5, 5 pound trigger. Nice reset. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. Again, I don't harp too much on triggers because I'm not a trigger snob. Either way, one of my favorites, like I have always said. The VP9, you can't go wrong with it. You don't have to get the OR model. You can get the original, just the standard version that has the luminescent sights on it. So let's see here. Does have a metal guide rod. So my P09 and my SP01 had plastic guide rods. This does have a metal guide rod. So let's shoot this last magazine through this thing. Just a super fast, fun gun to shoot. And I don't know, man, completely reliable. Probably had about, I don't know, 800-900 rounds through this gun since I purchased it. I've had a VP9 for a long time, but this one that is the OR version, I've probably only had about 2 years, so I haven't put nearly as many rounds through it. I've actually carried this gun. It's a little big for, you know, for me. I usually don't carry a gun this size, but I have actually carried this one. I suppose in comparison to the Mako, it's a little bit longer than the Mako. I mean, as far as height and everything, it seems very similar, but the VP9 is a little bit longer than the Mako, so I don't like anything digging when I sit down or poking me in my thigh when I sit down, because I carry at about, I'd say about 2 o'clock. So I don't carry this gun very much, but I do have it in the truck or on the nightstand occasionally in that rotation. Just an awesome gun. If you've ever considered one, if it's in your price range, definitely go out and pick one up. H&K is top-notch quality. Thanks so much for watching. Consider going over to my website at gsquaredtactical.com, clicking on the 3 lines in the left-hand corner. A screen will pop down. Hit on support the channel, and each tier will pop up. It doesn't matter about those tiers. The guy that done the website put those tiers up there, and it has a recommended price. But in that box right beside of name your price, you can click in that box no matter what it says, clear that out of there, and donate as much as you want to donate. I get the most of that by a little bit. Secondly would be Patreon. I get a good bit of that too, very close to what I get on the website. You can do super thanks, but YouTube takes about 40% of that, 30-40%. But either way, anything helps, and it's all appreciated and coveted. It all will go back into the channel. Ammo, paint, targets, camera equipment, editing equipment, hard drives, SD cards, everything that goes into doing this, it'll all go back into the channel. I don't ever see this as being a profitable thing for me, but if it can be a wash and I can do what I enjoy doing and help you guys make a decision about your next gun purchase, then hey man, it's a win-win. Share the gospel of Jesus Christ too. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions about this gun, I try to make these things fast. People say they hate the freaking tabletops, so when you do the tabletops, you talk about barrel material, slide material, all of that kind of stuff, finishes, and it just makes it hard to stand out here at the range, shoot, and talk about all those things too. So I try to hit the high notes. But if there's anything you want to know about it, ask me in the comment section. I respond to everything, so I'll answer it to the best of my ability. And as always, the best way you can support me is to hit that subscribe button, that thumbs up, and share it with your friends and family. And as always, to God be the glory.